Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. We got a very exciting show talking about pitchers with the pitching guru, Eno Sarris. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball, presented by DraftKings. Thank you very much for joining us and hanging out for a little bit on the midweek episode. We like diving into topics. On the midweek episode. My name is Jimmy. His name is Jake. In California, we got Trevor Plouffe, and in the corner, producer BBD. And this episode is brought to you by Dugout Mugs. Because Father's Day's coming up. Trev, you're a dad. Admit it. You're a dad. He's searching for his mug. You're a dad.
I am a dad.
He's got a little knob shot glass. Dugout Mugs. Jake's got the Talkin' Baseball one. He's got the Talkin' Yanks one. Go get your dad for Father's Day a dugout mug of the team that he likes the most, or you can customize it and put his face on the whole thing. Just send them a picture of your dad's face, and they'll put it on a mug. You get the knob shot, the wind up, the season openers. The next 500 will get 30% off. If you use the code JOMBOY, you get 35% off. Dugout Mugs. We got a bunch of fun stuff coming up with them. They're going to be part of our All-Star Game extravaganza that we haven't fully announced yet, but we're excited about. So, Dugout Mugs. Go to Dugout Mugs. Use code JOMBOY when you do. Jake, how you doing?
James, Trevor, Big Baby David, everyone listening right now. I'm doing well. Getting through the week. Eno, I don't know what the best way to say it is. He's on our level, except he knows stuff. Like, he really knows stuff.
Smart guy.
But yeah, he's also, he'll get in the slime with us, which I like. So, talk some great pitching stuff with him, and I'm excited. Man, like Memorial Day, summer baseball, sweating on the way to work. Like, we're here.
How are you doing, Trev?
I'm doing great. You guys know I love Eno. What he does for me as a baseball fan and a player, like I can comprehend on some level some of the stuff that, he's talking about in his articles, a lot of the new age statistics and the analytics. He's able to dumb it down for me. I think that's what he does really well. Like, he's so smart with it, but like Jake said, he can get down and talk on our level a little bit. So I think that's it's really beneficial for fans to kind of go in and listen to what he's talking about, because he's on the cutting edge, but he'll have a beer with you and talk to you about it. That's how I feel about Eno.
Jake, can you let everyone know how this came about? Because there's a little backstory of why he joined us for this episode.
So Eno tweeted out March 23rd about Corey Kluber, and he doesn't look that good. Never had a fastball, but he's sitting 90, but it isn't anything close to vintage. I had replied to that tweet on that day. I said, Eno, I'm trying to have a nice day, ? Because I guess I wasn't sure. Corey Kluber throws a no-no. Eno, that tweet starts blowing up, obviously, because that's how the internet works. And Eno replied to one of the tweets and said, Jake, we should flog me with chains on YouTube. Let's go. I said, well, it is Thursday, and that's what we do on Thursdays. And then he replied, I'll get the essential oils in the GIMP mask. You set the time. So that obviously took me aback because no one's ever tweeted that at me. And, we... for these midweek episodes, we wanted to explore stuff. We love Eno. It kind of seemed like time for some Eno. So we started there. We talked some Klubot, and he wanted to eat some bugs about it, but also talk us through it. And we landed on some interesting stuff. And then
Hell of an intro from him.
I
won't spoil it.
An electric intro. But yeah, jumped around to some other pitchers he's liking and talking about, and we cover the spectrum with Eno, always.
So we'll throw it to the interview. It is brought to you by Rise, which is a new app we've been working with that I've been using on my phone to track my sleep because it's vital. Trev, did you download this? I've been using it. Would you have liked this as a ball player? So what this app does is it tunes into your Fitbit or your iPhone steps and sleep and all that, tracks your sleep patterns, and it like helps you out with your sleep debt and and like what you should be averaging, let you know when you're going to be drowsy, when you're going to be awake, because everyone's got different hours. You know, I'm a morning person or I'm a night person, night owl, early bird. Those are usually the terms for it. You can become a morning person according to them, and don't worry. You don't have to stop using your phone before bed, and you can do it without buying a new mattress, supplements, or weighted blanket. Rise uses a scientific, fact-based approach to help you get the sleep your body needs. It's built around the two principles that sleep researchers agree most affect how well we feel and perform.
Yeah,
Sleep
right.
debt. I'm not going to know that word. Sleep debt and Jesus.
Sleep debt and Jesus.
Circadian rhythm.
Ooh, yeah, love Star Wars.
You nailed it.
Man. All right. So, Trev, when you were a ball player, late nights, what's your average time going to sleep when you're an active player? 2 a.m., 3 a.m.?
It all kind of depends on what kind of day or night you had, but yeah, you're late and then you rise late. The reason I would have liked this when I was a player is because back in the day, people thought you were soft if you fell asleep or needed a nap. There was negative connotations involved with the word nap. And now you have science backing it up, and like there's nap rooms in Major League Baseball clubhouses, and that is a complete 180 from when I played. So I'm all about Rise.
Yeah. I mean, I told these guys I did after Monday through Friday on my own before I had the app. There'd be a day where I would just like fall asleep at 7 p.m. and wake up at 10 a.m. the next day. I'd be like, damn, I guess I needed that. Now the app, I did it for 1 week. And it's after 5 days, it was like, you got 5 hours of sleep debt because you're not like, it was like 1 hour less than I need every day. And then on Sunday, I slept in till 9:30 or 10. And it was like, okay, you're good now. You cleared it. And I was like, fuck, that's really cool to know the like actual calculations behind that. So go to Get Rise, go to risescience.com/baseball, download the Rise app today to try it for free. Find out if you're a morning person, night owl, when you get drowsy, and your sleep debt. That's risescience.com/baseball to try the Rise app free for 7 days. Let's go to the Eno conversation with Eno.
Baseball.
We are joined by internet calf model Eno Sarris. Eno, how are you?
I'm a shithead.
For those just listening, Eno has shit on his head.
Yeah.
This is true.
And on my face, I said in spring, Corey Kluber did not look good. I said he did not look good. I said his command wasn't good. I said his fastball wasn't good. And then he threw a no-hitter. All these things are true.
But you didn't know that it was the year of the no-hitter.
Yeah, right.
Wade Miley threw a no-hitter.
Yes.
Spencer
Corey
Turnbull
Kluber,
threw a
as
no-hitter.
good as Spencer Turnbull. Yeah.
Rodon threw a no-hitter. He was dropped, you know.
But let's also not forget that Corey Kluber is sporting a 2.86 right now. So it's not just the no-hitter.
No, I think I got it wrong. One of the things that I think is actually really tough to scout is command. I think it's one of the toughest things to see because pitchers miss their targets by like 10 inches on average. So you might watch a game and be like, this guy can't, he's not hitting his spots. But Kluber is actually, like, I have a stat called Command Plus. He's like 15% better than league average when it comes to command. So I think that's what I got wrong. Also, like, he sort of famously, I guess, I didn't know this until my phone blew up after I tweeted that out already. I was like, oh man, this is destined to go poorly. People are like, don't you know he's a slow starter and he doesn't, he's not good in spring. I'm like,
I was with you, Eno. I saw your tweet, and because I was still slightly as cynical as it gets when it comes to Kluber, mostly just because it's a $10 million contract when the Yankees are fighting against the luxury tax and they only had 20 to spend. They used half of it on Kluber in a 1 year shot. So for me, it's if he pitches good in the postseason, or this was a waste of $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm coming into it as cynical as possible. In spring training, I didn't like that. But then when I found that out and they said historically he's a slow starter, that was the first I was like, okay, I will allow that into my brain because I didn't know that as well. But some guys are just historically bad early. And I guess
coming off of injury, I mean, that was a big thing for y'all too, like having Tyon and Kluber coming off of injury where you're depending on two guys in your rotation that like didn't pitch.
Yeah. I mean, and Herman hadn't pitched and Monty was still not had a full season. So is a lot, but Kluber's been pretty good. The no-hitter was pretty nice. His pitch mix is still, it's so interesting because he doesn't like calling it a certain pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's been using the changeup more often. Maybe you didn't know that scouting report.
No, that's I'm working on a piece with Lindsay Adler about the changeups, but it is the second most he's ever used changeups, and it's funny because I have this thing called Stuff Plus, which kind of uses movement and velocity to say like how good a pitcher's stuff is, and he doesn't rate that well overall, and his changeup doesn't rate well at all. But the Kluber ball, whatever. The harder breaking ball still does really well. And so I think what he is a guy who has great command, 4 okay pitches, or 3 okay pitches and a great pitch. And I think that's enough today.
So as Yankee fans, we should be drinking the Kool-Aid? Like just go in the deep end with it or what?
Well, I mean, the great starts were against like the Tigers in the
Orioles and Rangers.
The Rangers. So like I do think today is a big test. I mean, that's an awesome offense right now. That's on all cylinders. So I'd expect more than like 3 runs, 5 Ks, 3 walks in like 5 innings today. Maybe 6. So I think that's like Kluber against a great offense. So am I right or am I wrong? And it's like that's not vintage Kluber, right? I mean, I know he threw a no-hitter, but that's not vintage Kluber.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you think it's just a velo thing with him? Like if he has command and he stays, 15% above league average with your command plus stat.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's what I mentioned to Jimmy and Jake before the season. I said I don't think he has to have velo to be successful. If he can tunnel his pitches the way that he has pitched his entire career, will continue to work if he can locate. Do you find that is? Do you think that'll be true for him going forward? If he can just stay at that level of command, he'll be able to pitch. Shoot, I mean, as long as he wants to, right?
Yeah, there's like a threshold at some point. He's not a good fastball guy, right? Like he never was actually.
No, no.
The way he broke out was to stop throwing the 4-seam and move to the sinker. Mm-hmm. And I think that covered up that his 4-seam is not that good. But now he's kind of like a 5-pitch guy where he can mix it up, and I think that does give you longevity. But at some point, there's a shelf where the fastball is just so bad, like you can't even really throw it anymore. You can't hide it. You can't, you know what I mean? So like, I think if he dropped below 90 or something, I'd be like, I don't think he can keep doing this. So I do think that like staying, and there's the research that suggests that if you stay between 89 and 94. Like a little bit of tick up and down in there doesn't make it much of a difference. But if you drop below 89 or if you can get above 94, that's a big difference. So, I mean, long story short, I think he's like doing the old pitcher's trick where he's just like, I've got a lot of pitches. I'm going to mix them all up. I've got pretty good command of them. I guess he can do that for a while.
I'm looking at Jake Peavy stats because that's who comes to mind when I think of like Kluber and Peavy towards the end of their career. And I was like, man, did Peavy pitch till he was really old? But he only pitched till he was 35. And I think that's where Kluber is at right now. Kluber's at 34 or something like that. So it's going to be interesting, man, because I think he does enough to where it's tough for a hitter when you're facing him. The way he's able to X the corners and kind of fool you almost, and you have to, at some point when he's on, have to pick a pitch and go with it. I think that leads to success. But
here's my question to you, like as a hitter, like, I was looking at this when we were talking about moving the mound back, and a pitching coordinator told me that he would just have his pitchers throw 80% breaking balls, right? If the mound was moved back. And so became a discussion about whether or not, like, if I told you a slider was coming, like if you just sat Kluber ball, would it be easier to hit it? Like if you knew
You're
that
only
was coming?
getting sliders.
Yeah, like if you threw 80% Kluber balls, like would you eventually just sit on that and be able to hit it?
Yeah, because you know where you need it to start for it to be in your zone. I think that's kind of that's why you have to throw something else, because then if you have to worry about another pitch, you can't just say, hey, I want this pitch to start right here and that's where I can hit it. Because if you're going to throw me 80% sliders, I'm going to dial into the exact point where I know that it's going to break into my hitting zone, and I know when to take it and all that. So I don't think that doesn't make much sense.
Well, they're throwing more and more sliders every year. And so I think there are some people that think that like the slider is just harder to hit.
It is harder to hit, but it's because you still have a heater to worry about. You know, those guys are throwing harder too. They're throwing their sliders, but they're also throwing their fastballs harder.
Yeah.
And there will need to be a change in philosophy as we go forward. And I think that there probably already is starting to be some of that. But I if you told me 80% sliders are coming, even if you had a good one, I think I'd be more successful than I would be with, whatever the percentage is now, obviously.
I have good
news.
news.
It's not like Romo is the best pitcher in the league, you know.
I have good news for
Who's
you,
that?
Romo, my haircut buddy.
It's true.
I have great news for you. Corey Kluber's ERA against teams that are below average offense, according to Team OPS, is 1.54 in 4 starts. His ERA against above average offenses in 5 starts is 4.90.
Trade him.
So all the Yankee fans being ruthless coming at you, we got to wait another month.
This was so difficult about baseball. And this is what I think is so. It feels really unhinged when like a large group of people is trashing you. Maybe I was wrong. It's fine with me. Baseball is really hard to prognosticate about and like be right about all the time. Like y'all have been wrong, right? Can I get y'all to admit it? No.
More wrong
head.
than yes. That's why we got to celebrate the few correctness.
Right. Yeah.
You're so right, and it's we do heavy Yankee stuff. So coming into the season, we do player profile and projections, and you try to map out the season for the 35 or 36? The 35-year-old Corey Kluber, who's got a couple size in the bag, but he's also basically missed 2 to 3 seasons. And, we were laughing because you either put this as a win or a loss. We essentially put it as a loss, that Cressy, who's the Yankees trainer, is Kluber's guy. So when Brian Cashman goes to get the medicals on Corey Kluber, what's Cressy going to say? No, I've kind of done a shit job on that guy. No, he's going to say I've been lights out. So to predict what Corey Kluber is going to do this year, and let's be honest, the book ain't written. I think Yankee fans are excited that we're sitting here mid to end of May with a 2.86 ERA and a 1.1 WAR and that kind of stuff. But to predict what kind of year he had, to put something fully in stone, like Kluber's going 30 starts, 2.85 ERA, or to say Kluber was going to get rocked, nobody knew. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And I just when someone is wrong, I'm like, it happens. I don't ever sort of feel the same, like, gotta go tell that guy. I'm sure that guy knows he was wrong.
Meet him at the pass.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're going to get on the pedestal and say, I was right about something, you have to get on the pedestal and take when you're wrong about something. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and I tweeted during his no-hitter. I said I was wrong, man. I was wrong.
Well, you said you were writing an article with Lindsay Adler, who covers the Yankees for The Athletic, on the change-ups. We did a whole episode on Talkin Yanks all about it, so if you just want to use some of the research that we didn't do, Katie Sharp did.
Transcript.
we call it Matt Blake's changes, because since he's come in, the Yankees have gone from 30th in change-up usage to 3rd or something like that.
Yeah, there's something going around the league too. There's more changeups, and I think what it is like just generally we're going away from fastballs. But I think there's maybe a point of no return. Like that's why I asked Trev about this. Is like I think there's a little bit of a point of no return on sliders where they're throwing sliders more than ever, and you can like against certain pitchers you can sit slider. You know, and once you can do that, you can actually hit the slider, and so therefore, even if your changeup's not great, if you're sitting slider, you're going to miss the changeup.
That makes sense. I can buy into that. I just did a video on Garrett Cooper for the Marlins, and he was facing Drew Smith for the Mets, and he was sitting slider. You could just tell by his body language. You know, he was definitely sitting slider. He finally got one, hit a walk-off home run. I thought that was interesting. I was like, he's definitely just waiting for that one pitch there, and then he got it.
Yeah. I mean, the sliders are at the most that they've ever thrown them, and in fact, the sort of production on sliders is near the worst it's ever been.
Ooh.
I think that goes hand in hand. So, like, you know, you kind of the more you throw it, the more often someone's going to hit it, and that's actually the hardest thing. In like when I'm looking at a pitcher, you know, it's the hardest thing. People say like, "Oh man, he gets this many whiffs on this pitch. He doesn't throw it enough. He should throw it more." You know, when he throws it more, he's going to get fewer whiffs. You know, people are going to
play off each other. That's the thing is you can't, you know, there's I mean, I'm thinking back to, you know, me as a hitter a long time ago, but there were only a few guys where I would sit slider. I mean, Al Albuquerque is one that really comes to my mind. Former pitcher for the Tigers. Another guy, Ortega, I believe, was on the Tigers. But like they all just work off each other. And I think that's why it's so damn hard to hit when a guy, you know, they say when a guy has, you know, command of 3 pitches during a start, you're screwed.
Especially if they can command it to each side of the plate, right? Because that's almost like 6 pitches.
You have to be able to eliminate pitches. That's why I love facing 2-pitch pitchers. So the more times these guys, you know, eliminate pitches, the better I think it is for hitters. A 2-pitch pitcher, you know, if he only has one that's working that night, well, shit, man, you can just sit on that thing all night long. I don't know if command of these sliders has gotten better with the more usage of them. I'm assuming command of sliders is probably better than it ever has been because they throw it more, so they have a better feel for it. Could be wrong about that. But yeah, I just think that there is a point of no return because they play off of other pitches. That's just an old adage. You know, your fastball plays up if you can throw your slider for a strike, or your slider's gonna be better if you're commanding your fastball. They go hand in hand.
I mean, look at like Hyun-Jin Ryu, right? He's like throws 89, but he like you can't really eliminate any pitch in any count. He kind of just he has like 4 pitches, and it could be anything at any time. So yeah, it's 89, but it could also be the 86-mile-an-hour cutter or the, you know. So it's like a wide range of things and a wide range of movements, and he's can put it inside or outside. So you're kind of like you can't even eliminate a portion of the plate, you know.
Yes, he's tough.
He's real fun to watch when he's on because it's any pitch in any count, and everyone's off balance all the time.
It's art.
We've seen 6 no-hitters so far. I'm counting Bumgarner's.
7 then.
7? Okay, so out of the 7,
if you count 7, it's the record.
Out of the 7 no-hitters, if we went back to spring training and I said, hey, one of these 7 guys is going to throw a no-hitter. Musgrove, Rodon, Bumgarner, Means, Miley, Turnbull, Kluber.
Miley.
Who would you have said? Miley?
No. Oh, who I said would have thrown?
Yeah, who would you guess would be? I think Means.
I would not have guessed Miley.
Yeah,
Means is good. Yeah.
Yeah, Means is probably the best.
Means is the best guess.
Or Turnbull.
I think Turnbull because I love that park makes things a little bit easier. So like, you know, you get like the Royals in Detroit. I would have been like, oh yeah, Turnbull could turn that.
Little day game action like that a lot.
Yeah.
I know. We always want to talk some ball stuff with you, but for talking baseball,
you like to talk about balls?
Yeah, I mean, before Trevor Plouffe said sit on it all night, and I thought about combining the 2 stances. But who are some other guys? Who are you drinking the Kool-Aid around the league on? You know, for talking baseball, we always say like everybody knows. Fans of their team know their team better than us. We can look at stats and we can look at advanced stats, but we don't fully know the full picture. Who, you know, almost 2 months in now, who are some of the pitchers that the national audience should know more about or be thinking about?
Well, I'm assuming they know about like Corbin Burns by now. He like broke that record. But in Milwaukee, also Freddie Peralta is pretty intense. He releases the ball really close. He's almost got like a glass now thing where he's got super extension. Then he's got a super righty fastball, and then he's created a really good breaking ball that plays off of that now. So Freddie Peralta finally figured it out. He used to have problems in the first inning, but he kind of figured that out. I'm a big fan of Julio Urias out in LA, the lefty there. But I guess people probably remember from the World Series, who's another young guy coming up? Shane McClanahan, man. You guys have seen him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that is nasty. I've got him with like 3+ pitches.
Jeez.
So, I don't know if they'll ever take the kid gloves off all the way. And let him go to like 100 pitches even.
Yeah.
They keep taking him out at 80, but I think he can still do it in the eventually they'll do it.
At least they let him start. Do they let him start?
Yeah. Yeah. He's doing like about 4 innings at a time, 4 or 5 innings at the most.
I got a question about a comment you made when the Adames trade went down and the Rays picked up Fireisen and Rasmussen. You said that they're really excellent in their vertical break. They rate well in that regard, and that's what the Rays really look to that.
Yeah.
Why do the Rays know this and other teams don't? Like what? I don't understand that. Like what are they doing so much better? Like why is it always the Rays that know how to get pitchers?
I from chatter around the league, I've heard that the Brewers and Rays and Astros and Dodgers and Yankees, those are the 5 teams that kind of know pitching the best, know the kind of stuff, what makes good stuff, can bring it out of their young pitchers. But there's been a little bit of a fascination in New York, I think, with fastball, with the high fastball and the breaking ball, the hard breaking ball. That describes a lot of the young guys that are coming up through the Dodger system. And I think there's been some sort of acknowledgement with the Yankees that maybe command matters a little bit more than they thought.
Oh,
so there's been a little bit of a change going on with the Yankees when it comes to that sort of stuff. But I think that the Rays and the Astros and Dodgers and Yankees, those are the class of the league in terms of just acknowledging what makes a pitch good and going and getting those guys. The thing that I think makes the Rays stand out is they make more trades than anyone. They just acquire more people than anyone. They're just like constantly, and that makes us think that they're winning. I think most of those trades, not all of them, but they do well in the trades that they do, and they just make a ton of trades. So we're kind of always talking about the Rays, but there are other teams that know stuff pretty well. And the Brewers developed these 2 guys, right? I mean, they came out of almost nowhere. I mean, when's the last time this is the first time you ever heard of Drew Rasmussen and JP Fireisen, right?
Not Fireisen.
Yankees great.
Former Yankees legend.
Oh, he's a Yankee?
Yeah. He went in. He was an Indian prospect, and then in the Andrew Miller, Clint Frazier, Justice Sheffield trade, he was part of that. And then
how do you end up in Milwaukee?
The Yankees.
Oh, it was the big
Rule 5, or was it
It was the big Fireisen for Benny Escanillo, an international slot money trade.
Oh yeah.
That
I remember that one.
I think that was Olney, or was that who broke that? But
yeah,
might have been you, Jake.
He had to be Rule 5 eligible, so they dumped him for
needed the 40-man spot for
money.
something.
Yeah,
that vertical break pitch you're talking about. I took that thing way up top in AAA, just so you know. So.
You took Fireisen deep?
Oh yeah,
we're a huge Fireisen pod. Don't come at us with that.
Big Fireisen.
Sorry. No, but
so we know.
He they were trying to make him a starting pitcher forever, right? And the injuries didn't make it work. So I think that they weren't sure that he would be like a great reliever. But he has 3 pitches. They all look pretty good, and the Rays wanted him. So
that's the scariest part.
Yes, it is.
Right. Trev, you want?
I mean, one of the things that has changed, I think, in my research into what makes pitches good is I used to think that velocity was the number one thing. And that was everything. But the last couple of people I've worked with on researching this, they've both come back and told me that velocity was like the fourth most important aspect of a pitch. And that, things like vertical movement and velocity separation and how the velocity on your breaking ball, like how hard your breaking ball was, those things were actually more important than fastball velocity. And I think what's happened is we've gotten so much velocity in the game. It's almost like the slider thing, right? We've got so much velocity in the game that means there's some guys who aren't any good, who just throw hard, that are in the game. And also, velocity is just what it takes to get to the big leagues. Once you get there, is there really that much difference? If you want to separate yourself, I throw 94, you throw 93. I throw 94 with a crazy rise ball. You throw 93 and it's just like an average fastball. Which one is going to be much better? And is it going to be that one tick that matters, or is it my movement? So I think that's what the Rays. And if you look, the Rays don't lead the league in velocity. He's not the hardest throwing guys in the world. They're looking for that vertical movement.
I like the vertical movement stance, and this is just my dumb hitter brain thinking. But when you're swinging a bat, there's a lot of room for error horizontally because the bat is laid horizontally. And when you're going up and down, I mean, that's a smaller part of everything. So it makes sense. And then when I think about stepping back into the box, having to command a pitch up in the zone and pitches down in the zone definitely is harder than going right to left, in my opinion. Like if a guy is spotting at the top of the zone, you have to make a physical adjustment to be able to get to that pitch. And then when you do that and you can spot something down in the zone, you're kind of shit out of luck right there.
Yeah, I think the Yankees were a big part of sort of turning things on their head a little bit with that rubric that you're talking about. So I think that they started doing this before anybody else, which is throwing the slider low for strikes in the zone and then throwing the fastball less often, but at the top of the zone for whiffs. And just kind of playing with what your approach might be at the plate, which would be like, oh, I'm going to spit on anything down. I'm going to spit on anything that spins down because I'll be like, that's supposed to make me swing over the top of it, right? So then you spit on it. Oh, called strike one. Crap. Okay, now I gotta protect the slider down. Oh, this fastball's way out of the zone. I've been looking at that slider down. This fastball's in my eyes. And if you look at it, the Yankees were the first team to really reduce fastball usage. They were the first team to have the hardest fastballs in the league, and the first team, I think, to use the high four seam the way they did.
That's why it was shocking when they traded for Happ and Lynn, because we were like, these guys only throw fastballs. And the philosophy at the time was to not throw the fastball a lot. They were like the team that threw the least fastballs, and then they traded for Happ and Lynn. And I was like, those guys throw 80% fastballs.
I think it's probably the sign of a smart team, right? You can't fall too in love with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yes. We figured something out, but Happ and Lynn are there, and the teams don't want that much for him. So let's go get him.
I want Lynn back. He's going to be a free agent.
Jake says he wants to fall.
Yeah, I mean, every day. Trev, you want to ask some ball stuff? I know this is close to your heart, all ball jokes aside, but we're starting to see some movement.
I just don't know what to ask because you've been on here before talking about the balls, and we've talked about the balls, and it is a very, very big deal, and it's like a tangible change. And this is what I don't like. I'm gonna tell you what I don't like, and maybe you can just kind of go off that. Because I really don't have a question, because I feel like we've kind of covered it here. But when we have these analysts, guys on MLB Network, guys all over social, all they ever talk about is, oh, well, the reason that the offense is down is because teams are teaching, and I hate this term, they call a launch angle approach, which is so freaking stupid because a launch angle, that's just a metric. Nobody's teaching a launch angle approach, okay? Everybody's still teaching hit the ball hard.
Yes.
So
that's
now,
the number one thing you want.
Hit the ball hard.
Yes.
That's what you're trying to do. But now they've put this out there in the baseball world that everyone's just trying to hit fly balls, and that's the reason everyone's striking out, which is just not the case. So I have all these hitters, texting me, telling me we have to make a bigger deal about the spin rate and the spin efficiency that these guys are getting from these foreign substances. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what else to do. Like, I don't know how to combat it. Like, you have come at it, and you had JT Realmuto put his name on it. And I said that was a huge step. When a catcher comes out against the pitchers, because that just doesn't happen. They're more on the pitcher side than the hitter side.
That's right. I was
Almost
like, they're
universally.
double agents.
They really are. They're more on the pitcher side, though, because they got to deal with these prima donnas all the time.
Right, yeah.
So for JT to come out, I thought that was really, really good. And then just recently, Chris Rose rotation had Stephen Brault and Trevor Williams on, and he was talking to them about the balls and about your article in particular. And they came out and said about how ridiculous it is. And now guys are using like cement, like wet cement on their hands. And it's really getting out of hand. I don't know if you have an idea of how to make this story go bigger, because I'm fresh out of ideas.
You know, I was talking to, and I won't out him, but I was talking to one of the lions of our industry about, coverage back in the day. And I was saying, it's frustrating. It doesn't seem like readers seem to care about this. And I thought maybe it was because it was like too technical. It's like it's been going on forever, quote unquote. And it's had something to do with how it's not really like really easy to understand right away. It's like, oh, what? They get more RPM and that's good. Why? Okay. And I was talking to him and I said, was it like that in the steroid era? And they said, people didn't care about steroids when they wrote about it. That was part of why the writers missed it or whatever, was that like the guy who wrote about McGwire having androstenedione or whatever in his locker, like the guy who saw that, he got totally vilified. Like he almost got like run out of the business because you shouldn't have been looking in his locker, and that's just fine. It's just a supplement. It's fine.
That documentary, we had the director on who made it about Sosa and McGwire in the home run chase. They showed that. They showed that he had it in his locker, and they openly talked about it, and no one cared at all at the time.
No one cared.
They only started caring when Congress started caring. But yeah, if you go back to the interviews and watch that documentary, everyone knew they were doing steroids, but nobody cared at all. And I do think that's what's going to happen here, Trev, but because the first thing a fan does is say, well, do the players care? And for the last 10 years, the only people on record have been the hitters who said, I think Harper was on record like 5 years ago saying it helps them control the ball. And that's been in every baseball player.
That's been the story.
That's been the narrative. And we're only like 2 months into trying to change that, Trev. So like it'll come the more it gets kind of talked about. But
it's a big deal to have pitchers talking about it.
Yeah. Well, Chris Rose just had Trevor Williams and Brault call it cheating on the Chris Rose rotation.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's totally new. That is totally new and different. You have to combat the narrative that's just for command. So that's why I had a piece where it's like, it's plus 500 RPM. If they use the spider tack, the stuff that holds cement to your hands, that's plus 500 RPM. And you're like, well, what's 500 RPM? Well, how about this? It improves breaking ball stuff by 30%. I had that stuff metric.
Ridiculous.
It reduced, And if you look around the league, sliders all have like the craziest stuff metrics. And I think, half of them are because of, whatever's on their fingers. If you just watch a game, you can see it.
Yeah. Is it as easy as this, because we're able to track now spin since 2015. Can our listeners, can they just go to Baseball Savant, go look up their favorite pitcher, and they go back to 2015, see his spin, go down to 2016 and see his spin. And if there's a 300 RPM jump, is it as easy as that to say he's cheating?
I'll tell you
putting something on the ball.
If you did find that, yes. Guess how many you'll find? One.
Bauer?
Yes.
Well, that's on his page. You can say that. Like I've seen that.
Yeah.
He's the only one?
Because he was the only one not doing it.
You might find a couple, but here's the thing that's happening. It's indoctrinating. It's happening in the minor leagues.
So by the
time you get there, you have to do it in the minor leagues because baseball came out and said, we're going to use Savant. We're going to look at this. But what if my baseline was set in a high end?
Exactly. Is there Baseball Savant numbers for the minor league system? Because there are TrackMan devices in a lot of these places.
Baseball has it. And then, yes.
Only MLB has it?
Yes. There's a hack, though. To find some, it's complicated. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, I'll point it out to him. There is a hack to find TrackMan for 4 minor league stadiums in Florida.
That's such BS, dude. That is absolute fucking BS. They're trying to come down on this. Well, they have all the information.
Trev, they're not trying to come down on it. What are you talking about? They literally
Well, I
They
mean,
definitely don't want to
publicly
come
they
down on
say
it this
that.
year with the CBA coming.
yeah,
they don't want to do it.
They
this
told every clubhouse they're not going to get in trouble. They said, "Hey, we're collecting all the baseballs, but don't worry, we're just collecting data. You're not going to get in trouble."
That's the message I'm getting from them. But it also could be like to your larger point about how steroids went down and stuff. This could be the Mitchell report time. This could be the
That's gonna get leaked.
We're figuring something out. We're going to leak some stuff. We're going to get the public behind this. And then, in year 2 or 3, we're going to start to come down. But I don't know. Like, I just like trusting baseball right now. Like, they tried to change the baseball. They told us they changed the baseball, and they did it in all the worst ways this year. The baseball now comes off the bat faster, so it's more dangerous for hitters. It doesn't go as far in the air, so home runs have been turned into outs. It has more drag, so it moves more in the air, and it's lighter, so pitchers are throwing it harder. So we're about to have the first season with a plus over 94 mile an hour average on the fastball.
That's insane.
How are any of those 4 things good? All those 4 things do is reduce homers and increase strikeouts. Oh, good job, Manfred.
That's incredible. And you know what, dude? Like, that's all these dumb things they're saying. Let's move the mound back a foot. Let's do this, do that. All they got to do is stop people from putting shit on the balls.
It's
you
right
grow
in
up.
front of you. It's so much easier.
And train hitting baseballs that are thrown a certain way. And then all of a sudden, they're not doing that anymore. And it's not just the substances. Now, obviously, that's the biggest part. But now I've referenced this a bunch. It's the slow-mo edgertronic cameras where they can now just pitch design with this stuff. And they say, okay, well, I want my breaking ball to have X spin, X break, whatever. And they can just throw a bullpen session and come up with a pitch overnight.
I do have pitching coordinators that say, well, if the hitters just got their acts together and tried a little harder. And listen, I know. But I'm saying this. What about this? There is technology available to hitters that they're not using.
The VR?
Like, as a group. There's VR, but yes, I've had people DM me and be like, VR is not to the right place yet. It doesn't trick your brain. It's not the right place. But there's catapult, there's hit the K-vest, there's things you can do. Like, how many major league hitters, the minor leaguers have all worn the K-vest by now, but like, what's the percentage of major league hitters that have worn a K-vest before?
I don't know what a K-vest is.
Yeah, so there you go. And it's a very simple thing that can help you. It just tracks your body movements and tells you, your hips are firing too late.
Oh, I've seen that. Track. Oh, sure. Yeah. When I went to Dodger instructional league for 3 days, and they were putting guys in that.
Yeah. So all the minor leaguers, they're kind of going through it. And so
it creates a baseline for like when your swing is right, they have the numbers and you can get back in there if you feel like something's off. And they can say, well, this is what's happening.
I do have a funny story from that. So I wore the K-vest, right? And I had near pro hand speed.
Hey!
I had a minus pelvis.
Jake's been hearing that his whole life.
Then you put the vest on, and then what happened?
Yeah. But this is funny too, because I think it gets to maybe the fact that technology is always going to help pitchers more than hitters, which is the fact that so
they control the variables. That's why,
Right. Yeah. So I've had the vest on, right? And he said, okay, use some cues, like think of some different things while you're swinging. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get into my glutes and see what happens. And I'm gonna just load as hard as I can and see what happens. And the one that worked for me, that gave me the best swing, was I'm gonna rip my pelvis through. Right? I'm just gonna rip through.
Jake on a wedding dance floor.
I'm just gonna rip that pelvis through. And there was the best, all greens on the K vest. It looked beautiful. It was great. I missed the ball on the tee.
Hand-eye still matters. Hand-eye coordination still matters.
We need to get that K-vest for back alley at bats.
That's good.
How much do they cost?
You can optimize. I don't think they're too bad. But you can optimize your swing, and then you still have to see. There's some stuff now they're doing gaze training, where they'll put like different cameras, like things on your eyes and try to get you to look a certain way. But I do think that technology favors the pitcher on some level.
Yeah, I think the VR thing, if that gets up to speed and you're able to have 2 legitimate feeling at bats against the guy before you even step into the box, that is something that hitters are going to flock to. But I've used one of them before. I think actually even 2 different devices. It's just not there yet.
Didn't
and it's
trick
crazy
your
to
brain.
me. Like, let's go. Let's get on this, because that's a big deal. But that's like the only thing that I can think of that's actually going to help you with a pitcher. You might be able to optimize your swing and your mechanics, but it doesn't matter if you can't, like you just said, if you can't put the barrel to the ball, what does it matter?
Miss the damn ball on a tee.
Yeah.
We have to kind of start moving. I have one last personal question. Is yours baseball related?
Baseball related,
okay.
yes.
Mine's half baseball.
What would you say is the equivalent of a 1 OPS spin rate? Would you say 3,000 or 2,700 or 2,600?
For a fastball, right?
Any
2,400 used to be top 20%, but 2,400 now is top 40%.
Okay.
That's what the spin substances has done. Everyone now gets to 2,400. So 2,400 is just everyone does it. So yeah, I would say 2,800. I think Bauer's RPM on his 4-seam, which leads the league now, is 2,800.
So so I was going to say, of any pitcher that's thrown 500 pitches this season, could you guess the top 5 in percentage of pitches thrown that have 2,800 or higher?
I mean, I gave you one.
Bauer leads. He's at 73%, which is.
I would say Cole is up there.
Ooh,
Maybe
Cole.
not.
No, Cole is number 14. He's at only 15% of his pitches get that high.
Corbin Burns.
Number 2, 67% of his pitches are that spin rate. But
we're watching you, Corbin.
And the number of pitches is Bauer leads by a lot. Bauer has 777 pitches, 2,800 or more. Second place is Corbin Burns with 406.
Wow.
So the mad scientist who builds labs in his backyard to practice this stuff and has now engaged in some other substances has mastered the craft. I mean,
that makes a lot of sense.
Walker Buehler.
Buehler's up there. He's number 5. But he's at 34%. Bauer's number 1 with 76.
Yeah.
Of his fastballs?
All pitches.
All pitches. Okay, I see what you're saying.
73% of all Bauer's pitches have 2,800. 5 is Buehler with 34. Like Bauer and Burns are up here.
Yeah. There are some people behind the scenes who are like mad about Burns, but I got some pushback from Milwaukee saying that as like a 18-year-old or something, that's real young in their minor league system, he was throwing like 2,800 mile per hour, 2,800 RPM cutters. So like their stance is he's always done this.
Oh yeah,
sure.
He went to the local hardware store.
Yeah,
he was 18. I don't know. I mean, look, you can't. We have a lot of data for pitchers. You can't just overnight just all of a sudden jump like that. It just doesn't make any sense.
And if you do just fastballs, Trev, just fastballs, Bauer's even crazier.
I know.
But look, I did run spin rate differences for someone who's writing a story on the Athletic. And in terms of like year over year difference, there's 4 guys who have a 200 increase this year. I don't know who Kyle Keller is, Will Crow, Jordan Lyles, and then Shohei Ohtani. But spin rate goes up with velocity. So I think on some level you have to take velocity out of all this because Ohtani was down in velo last year because he was hurt. And it's not like a who's who. And there's only 4
break my
guys.
heart, Ohtani. Don't do that.
Oh, he's healthy now.
He would break my heart. He really would break my heart. I see him as like a godsend, man, saving our sport from itself.
It's so amazing. The opposite field power, dude. Just
ridiculous.
Special.
All right, the one last crazy stat while I'm on this page. The Dodgers, as a team, have thrown 703 pitches or fastballs, 703 fastballs with a 2,800 RPM. The Minnesota Twins have thrown 6.
Twinkies.
Why, Jimmy? Why did you have to go
Twinkies.
there? Come on. That's kicking someone when they're down, man.
They're about to
my
get hot.
God.
Jimmy, yeah, they're gonna get
They're
hot.
about to get
Jim.
hot. I know it. Or not, and they'll just die.
Maeda on the DL.
It's late night. You've put the kids. You're it's just you. You lock the door. You light a candle. Maybe you had 1-2 IPAs. And you get to watch 2 pitches on repeat for the rest of the night. One is probably Cesar Valdez's dead fish. What's the other pitch you're going to watch with it?
Yeah.
What's the RPM on that?
What is the other pitch? You know what I really love watching are changeups because it just seems weird to me to have a pitch go that direction. Like this direction makes sense to me. That direction does not. So I know he's not doing amazingly, but Luis Castillo, his changeup, or
Nasty.
Zach Greinke's power change still.
Mm.
Like I just love seeing a pitch go really fast and dive and go in that direction. It's just it boggles my mind a little bit.
Jimmy and I share a fetish for front hip 2-seamers.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just watched Maddox.
Kluber.
You hear that right
Kluber's
there?
got one.
We bring it all back to Kluber.
I just watched
Kluber,
Maddox.
Bauer does it really
I watched
well.
a montage of Maddox doing it.
Oh yeah, Maddox.
I mean, it was
it
was illegal.
Art.
Didn't make sense.
It's so good
also-
because you see their body give up. The hitter's just like, and then
Get that jelly leg, man. Buckles was really, really good at that pitch too. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of a pitcher he was when he was like on.
If robot umps come, and they are coming because they're already at high A, if robot umps come, the robot umps will call that pitch a strike more often. That is one of the least correctly called pitches, is the front door 2-seamer.
Did you know? The other day this is a story kind of off the chart here, but I was at my little league coaching a team, and this older team comes in. This guy's putting his gear on. I said, "Hey man, catcher's gear." I said, "Hey, you do that like leg on the ground stuff? You trying to like get those low pitches called for strikes?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, you better stop now because robo umpires are coming. It's not going to matter, brother." And I think he thought I was being really mean, but I was giving him real advice, bro. Just go learn how to hit. By the time you get to the show, son, you don't need to do that anymore.
That won't matter. They only care about your pop time and your OPS.
Hitting has become so hard that corner outfielders aren't corner outfielders anymore. They're just third baseman or first baseman. They're whatever. They're just hitters.
Please hit.
All right, last question. Who's got the most swing and misses on a pitch with RPM under 1,000?
Is it the Valdez fish?
I thought it was. That's why I was looking it up. It's Ryan Stanek.
Oh, the splitter? His splitter?
Yeah.
It's got to be like a split
and then
change.
it's Chapman's splitter.
There's only like 2 splitters in the game right now. There's like none.
Not a lot of splitters. Yeah, I should have guessed splitter.
Yeah.
Stanek is back, baby.
Here we go.
All right.
You didn't even know he's gone.
Thank you very much for joining us, donning the shithead. Appreciate that very much.
I took my medicine.
Jury's still out, man. Anyone can no-hit the Rangers.
Long season. It's a long season. Cool.
I love you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Eno.
Thanks, Eno.
All right. There he was. Talking baseball, talking spin rates, talking Kluber, talking staying hydrated, because it's another thing that's important. This is suddenly a health podcast.
Yeah.
We teach you about sleeping properly. Now we're going to teach you about staying hydrated, and you can drink this out of your dugout mug. Let's combine them all. Man, hydrant. Jake's drinking it right now. It is a refreshing drink mix powder made with 4 electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium, and zinc. It's made with real fruit juice powder and no artificial sweeteners or synthetic colors. No nonsense. all science. They also have Hydrant Sleep. Well, now you take this, you go get the Rise app, you're mixing everything. You take the Hydrant Sleep, a new bedtime mix carefully formulated to promote restful sleep and hydration. You drink it out of the dugout mug. You have a nice night's sleep. You look at the Rise app. You see how good your sleep was. Everything's full circle. Hydrant Sleep includes melatonin, magnesium, L-theanine, GABA, and chamomile to promote restful, high-quality sleep, backed with the 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't love it, send it back for a full refund. Try it today. drinkhydrant.com/baseball. Enter promo code baseball for 20% off your first order. drinkhydrant.com/baseball.
Can I give a personal experience with
what's
this,
that?
Jim? Can I give a personal experience with
Yes.
Hydrant? I've been on the train of, drinking some sort of hydration pack or something before I go to bed. If I have a few pops at night, adult beverages. My wife, Olivia, went out the other night and she took one of those Hydrant Sleeps before she went to bed. And you don't sleep well when you drink if you don't have something like that. She woke up the next morning and told me, she goes, "What is that stuff?" So it
Wow.
works. I don't know if they want me to say that or not, but that's my personal experience with it.
I'm
support
jealous.
you.
How about Eno wearing a shithead hat?
Yeah.
How about
Had it ready to go.
Yeah, who just has that hat in their house? That's all. We didn't ask him about that.
Eno.
I feel bad. Yankee fans coming at him.
That's what they do.
Like I told him, you put yourself out there like that, you got to wear it sometimes. That's okay. I think he's taking it all in good fun, and he knows that he's probably right. And we mentioned some things in that interview about the teams that Kluber's been facing. So the jury's still out.
By the time this airs, we will know how he did against the Toronto Blue Jays on Tuesday night. He's got to face that fuck Richard.
It's a good lineup, short porch.
Let's do that because we're going to predict.
We got two predictions,
Lucas against Jack. Let's do both of them. Lucas versus Jack, their lines, and also the.
So a reminder for our diehards to juggle our schedule a little better. We're trying to get these recorded Tuesday afternoon and premiering Wednesday morning for you guys. So Kluber's stat line. What did Eno threw out? 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. He said 3 walks. Why do I remember that? I'll go 5.2, 2 earned runs. Survives.
I'm gonna go straight with Eno. I really like that. 5. He gets through 5, not without a little trouble. 3 earned runs. I'm gonna give him
5 and 3.
Through 5. I'm gonna give him 7 Ks. Though.
Okay.
5 and 3. Kluber. Have the Jays are on a 7-game losing streak?
They've been hitting a little bit though.
They've been hitting though? Quality start, 6 and 3. That's my guess.
Okay.
And then the other thing,
Lucas and Jack.
the high school teammates, Harvard Westlake.
How about this? Who has a better start? Let's just do that.
Jack's 8-0. Jack's facing the tougher lineup.
Yes.
Giolito's coming off a great game against the Twins.
How about this? I'll go.
Give me 0-0 in the 7th, and I'm hard.
Love it. I'll go. Excuse me.
Said give me 0-0 in the 7th, and I'm hard.
Like that. Like that a lot. Horny pod.
This meant like I'm tough.
I said I'm horny.
I'll start fighting my dogs.
I'll go. I think they both go 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Flaherty gives up his runs early. He's too hyped up. Giolito gives him his up start of the 3rd time through the order.
God, that's nice.
Thank
right
you.
there. You thought
Thank
that.
you.
Where's this being played?
Europe.
I mean, do they have to hit?
Yeah.
Is it in Chicago or is it in St. Louis?
No, it's in Chicago. It's in Chicago. I think Lucas pitches well, but I think Jack dominates today.
Ooh.
I've said it. I said it on the IG show with Chris Rose. I've never seen him more confident. And that's a big thing for him because he's got all the talent in the world. When he's locked in, confident like that, I'm going with him. I think Lucas is going to throw well also, but I think Jack does something stupid tonight, like 7 shutty with like 12 Ks.
Okay. Lines are done. I mean, it's already happened, so we'll see.
Yeah. We sound dumb.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate you. As always, we will be back on Friday for series recap. Let you know what happened.
Tweet at Eno.
Tell
him he's the best.
Call him a shithead. Nicely. Chick sucks.
You know why Jack's so confident, Trev? Yeah.
I do. That's why I'm so confident.